Hey everybody, happy Friday. I raise a glass or a Dr. Pepper in your honor and a Starbucks and all my other things I'm drinking. Happy Friday. I hope you are having a great Friday. And we have Tish here with me tonight who has got some sort of surprisedness for us. Oh, I see the hairbrush.
And now you see the jazzy.
And now we see the Jazzy trying to make amore with the hairbrush. And how's that going for y'all?
We're going to let her settle. She's going to go her way here in a minute.
I see cattail.
Yeah, she's trying to figure out which. There we go. My office is my own again. Hello.
Congratulations.
So
Congratulations.
sometimes on my own personal wall, I will review a glass of wine and I will have it for the first time and just be honest about what I think. So I'm getting ready to send this video through to my wall, and then I'll show you what I'm drinking tonight because it's not wine.
Oh, wow. Shocker. It's on my personal profile and it's on the When business page, so you can decide where you want to share from.
Just need to copy the link.
And
do we have more guests coming?
We may have more guests coming if they show up. They said they were going to show up, but sometimes people wuss out on us on Friday nights, because it's late, they're tired, they need another drink. What are y'all having to drink? I'm having Dr. Pepper, Fairlife protein.
I shared it.
Starbucks.
And I'm going to put it on its own post.
Ah.
Pardon me for a moment while I type, and then I'll start pouring.
And then you'll start pouring, and we're going to boop one other person in.
Perfect.
Hello, we're booping the last person in. Hey, Patty.
Hey.
Happy Friday. How are you doing?
It's Friday, so that means Friday night I get to relax a little bit. It is what it is. I just gotta keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's going to be weird sounds anywhere. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I've had this bottle for a while, so it's not the first time I've tried this, but it's the first time I'm mixing it with the chosen mix I've got for the evening. My husband thought this would be cool, and I'm still not convinced, even though we're almost done the bottle. But it's Crown Royal Maple Whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
So far, the only thing that I have really been able to enjoy it with, and I mean, I've tried to find things to put it in. I've even tried it on the rocks and all that jazz. But the only thing I found so far that I've liked it with was eggnog. That's not what I'm having tonight, though. I have something else.
I keep expecting like Mentos and Diet Coke or something with the whiskey.
No, although, creme de menthe is great on ice cream, chocolate or vanilla.
Oh, yeah. Creme de menthe on ice cream is amazing.
I like the fruit Mentos.
Mm-hmm.
The strawberry ones. They come in plain strawberry ones as well.
Oh, interesting. What is this with? Okay, so we have some of this maple Crown Royal.
With?
Coca-Cola Zero.
Vanilla.
Just to see if that will work. I thought maybe. Because if it's not,
I need a Mento to go with this.
We don't have any, and my house is probably a lot happier because we don't.
What would I be trying to get you to drop a Mento in the Diet Coke Zero?
In my office where I work.
To me, trying to cause mayhem? Never. So y'all get to see the playful side of Haley on Friday nights, and the prankster side, and the I'm going to cause havoc if I can side. So I'm waiting. I'm going to leave you maximized here while we see your reaction on your face.
Well, I smell maple, even after pouring the whole bottle in the glass. I have a nice tall glass with it, and that's what I'm smelling. I'm seeing bubbles and I smell maple.
Mm.
Really super sweet, which is why I went for the Coke Zero, because I thought maybe it would balance out somehow in my brain.
Coke Zero is actually sweeter.
I think that might work.
Wow. So you've successfully inoculated the maple
Yeah,
Crown
that's
Royal.
good. I don't know how it would be with straight Coke. It would be really syrupy. With the Coke itself plus the maple, I think it might be too much, but this is good.
Cool. Very cool. So what have you been working on this week, Tish?
This book I'm writing.
This crazy ass book you're writing. So tell me about this book you're writing. You and Patty both have books going.
We do.
Yes, we do.
So mine has been in my mind since 2018 when I published my first book. Everybody in my world knows it, but everybody watching might not. From where I'm sitting, A Collection of Cattails by Tish McWeber. And this book was written, I call it my practice book, but it is a real book.
Mm-hmm.
And it was written in honor of a friend who passed. She lost her battle with cancer. And, but Norm MacDonald says you don't lose to cancer. Cancer doesn't win. It's a draw. So there's that. But the book was written because she was well known for saying that every book should have at least one talking cat in it.
Mm-hmm.
So they all talk. I wrote a memoir narrated by cats, which, according to Amazon, doesn't exist. But, well, that's what I do. I make stuff up.
Really?
All the
I had no
time.
idea.
I have to keep myself entertained or I get into trouble.
Yeah.
So that is my first book. And the second book is more of an inspirational short read. So it's not going to be War and Peace length at all. But I'm working on it now. And in the time since 2018, when I started kind of thinking about writing my next book, I knew I didn't want to write another book about talking cats being the whole point of the book, because there are only so many cats that I've had experiences with. And that's all, based on my interpretation of the lives of the cats in the book. So 2 chapters dedicated to my friend Susan and her pets, and the rest are around the pets that I've had. But I've decided that there's going to be this thing with every book that I write, that there's going to be a talking cat that shows up somewhere. So in writing an inspirational short read, there's another cat in my world. She is the author of the Jazzy Chronicles, featured on the Coffee House Writers. And she had a series there that's going to move to my blog. But once she got her paw into writing, she kind of liked it. And she's hinting at letting people know something about the book on Monday. So I'm going to encourage you to keep an eye out on my feed on Monday to find out what she's going to share. Because she's kind of sneaky sometimes. So,
Yeah.
But she's got her own voice from writing the Jazzy Chronicles. And there is one story in an anthology I wrote that did not include a talking cat in the body of the story. And one of my co-authors of that anthology was, there's no talking cat in the story. There's something wrong. I'm like, did you read the dedication? Because Jazzy noticed that and she made a dedication for the book. So there's a talking cat in there. It's somewhere. Sometimes it's where not where you expect it. And in an inspirational short read about Tishration, and that's a word I've created, defined as the art of surprising yourself. And I'm taking it as far as I can go with it. I want it in a dictionary. It's a word and I've defined it. I'm going for that. And I see a movement, but I'm not entirely certain what happens after the book because I've been focused so long on I need to write the book. I need to write the book. Now I'm writing the book and we have a launch date, so I need to start figuring out what's next. And that's kind of what we've been working on the mastermind.
I love it. Kind of like what we're working on in the Crazy Mastermind, eh?
Cheers. It's Friday.
Cheers.
We don't have to
Thanks.
talk about it, but I
We
did.
do. Patty, what's your book?
Okay, it's focused on helping athletes get athletic scholarships, college athletic scholarships, and how sports psychology can help with that. Really, the idea of the book really started around this time, actually, in 2020. I went crazy during starting this time around 2020, pushing out blog posts, hoping to get it last Black Friday out, but it became apparent that it wasn't possible. And now this time Black Friday, it's still not coming out yet. It's going to be January 2022. Because based on your advice, I'm adding a new level of expertise to my business, and that's going to be included as part of the book. So for best results, January 2022, a secret weapon athletes are leaving on the table and are not using that's going to help them get athletic scholarships for college.
So cool. So tell me why the mindset piece is so important for student athletes.
Oh, okay. I hear it from parents all the time. Balancing school and sports is a tough thing because you go to school, then you have practice, and then you have a game, and then after the game, you're expected to do homework, and then by the time you do homework, you're only left with like 2, 3, or 4 hours left to sleep. Well, we can tweak your routines and habits a little bit, and hopefully that will lead to better balancing school and sports and lead to getting more sleep, which will lead to better grades and a better performance on the floor, on the court, or on the golf course, wherever your performance domain is, because don't underestimate what a good night's sleep can do to your performance, whether it's in school or in sports.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing because, you know, high school athletes, and I have one kid in high school, I've got a 9th grader, and I have 2 kids currently in college. I gotta say, high school is really stressful for these kids. And I've got a foreign exchange student here right now. And it's amazing to me to see how much pressure there is on the kids in terms of you have to have the grades, you have to have the SAT scores, you have to study for this, you have to have that leadership. And oh, by the way, you're also an athlete and you're training X number of hours a week to do the athletic thing. And it's a lot. I mean, even if you're not an athlete, it's a lot. And my daughter, who is an athlete, and all my kids have been athletes to some extent or another, it's a lot to balance.
Yes, it is. And with that, well, parents say they make sacrifices. Well, your kids make sacrifices too. They lose sleep. They lose time for their hobbies. They lose time with friends, all for that athletic scholarship.
Right. Well, and they're losing so much sleep. I was shocked with my kids when they were in their sophomore, junior, and senior years of high school where I see it, they consistently get 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night. And that's really rough on a young growing body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Teenagers like sleep. I
Yes.
remember that.
Yes. Yes, teenagers love their sleep. Well, entrepreneurs still love their sleep as well, and we're older, let's be honest.
Oh yeah, I love my sleep too, but I mean, I would sit there and I would watch just the homework loads that my kids had. And I mean, my youngest is in boarding school, so I don't get to see the workload, but the other two were here. And, when you're taking multiple AP classes and you're doing all the college prep stuff, doing the school athletics, and then, prepping for scholarships and applying for scholarships and applying for all that stuff is like, it's next level. So, what impact does having extra help make for these student athletes, do you find?
I can decrease their stress level. I can decrease their stress level between the parent and athlete. There's some tension there. Let's be honest, the teenager doesn't think that the parent knows what they're going through. In
Mhm.
the teenager's mind, uh, the mom is just the mom, the dad is just the dad. I can communicate probably the same message to them, but in a more patient and in a more soft tone. And at their age level, they're more likely to listen to someone else rather than their parents.
Right. Yeah, no, I've seen that. I know with my kids, I didn't encounter as much resistance because they saw me getting my master's and they
Oh,
remember me doing that. Except for my youngest. But the three oldest definitely remembered me getting my master's and the amount of time I spent studying. So the you don't know what it's like was never really a thing. But I can see where that can be a huge tension in families where, the student is going, but you don't know what it's like.
yes. Yes, I get that a lot.
You don't know what the pressure is like. And I
Yeah.
mean, we've had that a little bit with my husband and the kids because I mean, my kids are kind of like, yeah, mom, you know what it's like because you're doing all this entrepreneur stuff and you did the whole school thing while you were, working. But yeah, I'm not sure dad really understands.
Oh, because he's been away from it longer?
Hmm.
Oh, okay, so, with your kids seeing you actually do it, they think you get them, but without them personally seeing their dad do it, they don't think he gets them.
Yes, totally. Yep. And I mean, it's a thing, right? Students think that their parents don't get them, don't understand. And I mean, and the pressure that these kids are under has really changed a lot in the last 10 or 15 years in terms of what the expectations are for college applications because the process has gotten a lot more competitive.
And it's a lot more electronic than when I was doing it.
Yes, it is. So explain what you mean by it's a lot more electronic than when you were doing it.
I had to physically snail mail the transcripts. I mean, like sending transcripts electronically wasn't a thing back then, and it wasn't a thing when I was applying for my master's degree program either.
Hmm.
It was just a recent thing, like probably the last 3 or 4 years, where transcripts has become electronic.
Yeah. And it's all become a lot more electronic and a lot more online. And I dare say that COVID has definitely changed the dynamic in schools pretty substantially and accelerated that pace of getting kids into the online world, when from school. I mean, our public school system here, all the books are basically online.
Oh, wow. That didn't even exist. Those books were heavy
Hmm.
in high school.
Right?
Yes. Whew.
Right. Even 5 years ago, all those books were really heavy. Yeah. So, and depending on where you're in school, it's all electronic or some electronic and some paper, physical books. Um, so like, what is like one tip that you find really shifts the whole dynamic between, with athletes and their parents and school, and then like really, you know, what's that like one key that shifts things a lot for a lot of people?
I feel when I was working with athletes in the past, um, asking them to think of activities they can do outside of sport was like a aha moment. They were like, we actually got to think of activities that were not related to softball, not related to football, and they got to see like, I mean, they were so consumed by their sport that they weren't even aware of how surrounded their lives were with sport and how often they were talking about it and thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like asking them to like what is a proper break away from school? I mean, not away from school, away from sports. They were
Mm-hmm.
like, when I asked them what do they think about when they think about taking a break from sports, they were like, sleeping. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'm just like, a break is more than just sleeping. And then I was like, what activities do you like to do outside of softball, outside of basketball, outside of football? And then they're like, oh, we never really thought about it. It never really crossed our minds. And then they started paying attention to how many of their conversations when they were away from practice or away from playing competitive games were all involved sports. And then they made the conscious effort to not talk about sports, to mentally get away from it and actually take a break that was not related to sports. And then when they came back, they realized that they were more into it. And they just
Interesting.
needed someone to give them permission to get away from it. And they were like, it was really cool. They got to think of activities outside of softball.
Yeah. So sometimes a little bit less is more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I see that with entrepreneurs all the time and business owners. And I mean, a lot of people really, when you start focusing on that self-care piece and taking a break and doing that, the change is almost miraculous.
So, some of the people in the WEN community may not be familiar with me and my reviews.
Mm.
When I was on the trail to become an author,
Mm-hmm.
I was advised that to build the know, like, and trust factor with my readers, I should become an expert in something I'm already interested in. So, from time to time on my wall, I will review coffee or
Mm-hmm.
wine. That's how we got into me trying something tonight to see if I liked it. And something I do want to say, and this is not my normal choice, I guess, to say in a beverage, the Coca-Cola Zero Vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
And I've cut aspartame out of my life. That's why. So I generally go for Zevia. It is a stevia sweetened pop. And I think I'm going to have to get some cream soda flavored because that is vanilla, Zevia, and then try that with this and see if I like that.
Mm.
Because I
Interesting.
prefer the Zevia. Although I'm not getting the normal aftertaste, like with a straight up Diet Coke, there's an aftertaste to it. And if you like Diet Coke, it's that, you like it, right? But I'm not getting that. And I don't know if that's the vanilla or the combination of the vanilla and the maple whiskey.
Well, the Coke Zero tastes distinctly different too, and the aftertaste is different than Diet Coke. We just had somebody really special just comment on our thing. Hey,
Oh,
girl,
Irene
happy to
Pro.
see you.
Yeah.
Green.
We are sending you lots of love, Irene, and
Yep.
hope that you are having a wonderful night. And yeah, that we're keeping you entertained.
And on that note, I can read the back of the bottle because that's what I do with a wine bottle on my wall.
Okay, so why don't you read the back of the bottle? I'm going to
So
bump you up and
I'll hold it
maximize
up
you.
so you can see the front. And the lighting is not perfect. So the glasses go up. And I have to get close. You're going to have to see me tilt the bottle because I'm not sure I can read it until I get the right angle.
Oh,
An
okay.
extraordinary blend created with a hint of maple flavor. There's more than a hint in there. To complement the traditional taste of Crown Royal whiskey, our master blender discovered that finishing our celebrated whiskey with maple roasted oak, maple toasted oak, creates a uniquely smooth experience. So that's the story behind the maple Crown Royal whiskey, which is interesting because I drink the Freddie Bean Roasters coffee, and they like to age their coffee beans in empty barrels that have been used to age whiskey or rum or moonshine, and then they roast the beans. And it doesn't mean that there's alcohol in the coffee, but it gives it that flavor, kind of like when you cook a fruit cake and you put the rum in the fruit cake, dark or light. Same idea. The alcohol will burn off in the roasting of the coffee beans and it leaves the flavor. So I like layered flavors of things. Sometimes that gets me in trouble.
I bet it is.
With that glass, you can trick a person that is soda because the color looks like soda.
Well, that's what's in that's the mix.
Until the first time you take a sip and then you're going to know.
But it's not a strong, it's not the alcohol, it's the smell of the maple that you get when you have it. And I think that's why it's hard to find something to mix it with. Because it smells so sweet and so maple. That's why I've had a hard time. It does go nice in eggnog.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try it with cream soda Zevia. Because if vanilla is the answer, then I don't need caffeine or Diet Coke Zero. I can try the Zevia that I know I like and see how that works. But this is something I do. And it's been a couple of weeks since I reviewed a bottle of wine. So that's why I decided to bring it all here and kill two birds with one stone. Hang out with my friends and do a review.
Yeah, I love it. Very cool. So what else is up in your world this weekend?
I'm going to the yarn shop tomorrow.
Ooh.
I visit my friend. She's an entrepreneur of her own brick and mortar store, King Woolens and Yarns, in the Brookside Mall. And I generally pop down there on Saturdays with my purple pen because I do have books there for sale. So if anybody shows up and wants to get a book signed, I'm there. I can do that while I'm visiting. And I've started working on a little bit of crochet while I'm down there. So it's going to be a little pouch, and I have something in mind to go in it. And I started it the first time because I've done some scrubbies for your face for makeup removal, and I've done like a little flat round one, and then I did the twisted kind that's kind of 3D. So I've made some of those, and I wanted to try something different. So the last time I was down there, when I was looking through the patterns I had collected, I had one for a little pouch. So I said, this looks easy, and that's what I'm working on. And it took me 4 tries to get it started so that I didn't have to take it all apart again. I'm very new to crochet.
Yeah, I've been doing crochet for a while, but it is hard for me to get it to be like all the same size and not end up with like one stitch this big and one stitch this big. And then you do a string and then it's like too tight over here and too loose over here. So the whole thing kind of goes.
Yeah. When I was
Struggle bus is
younger,
real.
when I was younger, that's my first experience with knitting. My grandma spent some time teaching me how to knit. Both of my grandmothers did knit. And I'm not sure about my biological grandmother on my dad's side because I didn't know her, but I know grandma did and my mom's mom did. But it's funny you say that because when I started, she gave me, just leftover balls of yarn to play with. And what started out as a nice straight line got smaller and smaller and smaller. And I decided I was not knitting a scarf, I was knitting a necktie. And that's kind of when I stopped knitting as a kid. But the poncho that you see me wear sometimes, I had it on during the summit. It's bright orange, yellow, white. That's actually one of the bigger things I've knit for myself, other than scarves. I did learn how to knit a straight up scarf out of the eyelash yarn. And I don't know if it's perfect or not because it's probably more forgiving than ordinary yarn. But the thing for me, if I'm going to knit, I have to constantly count the stitches every row. And when I did the poncho, my friend Susan, who I wrote the book in honor of, actually designed a chart for me to do the poncho because there were different instructions for different rows and I had to figure out what they were first, how to do them, and then keep track of how to put them in there so it looked right when I was done. So it was a more complicated pattern, and I don't know if I'm ever going to knit a lot in the future. I'm okay with scarves, but I don't know if I want to knit complicated patterns or not. I don't know if I'm ready for that. Crocheting is a bit easier, I find. And it seems to go faster. And right now my project is 20 or 21 stitches, so it's, get them all down, count them, go back, do it again. But I find with crochet, it's the one at the ends I have trouble with, making sure I don't drop the stitch on the end. Sports with yarn, Patty. Especially when you involve Jazzy.
Yeah, I do stuff with yarn, but I have to do it pretty much at my desk. Y'all have seen this. Some of y'all have seen this. Not everybody has seen this thing. My little project that I'm working on. Have you seen this thing, Patty?
Maybe.
This thingamabobby?
Maybe.
Yeah, I know Tish has, because sometimes I'll pull it out and sit here and work on it with my hands while I'm doing things. Let me make sure I am not like dropping needles and yarn everywhere first, because I'm missing up scissors that should have come loose. There they are. Little things. That was an extra keyboard. But anyways, here's the thingamabobby I'm working on. It's a needlepoint. It's a tapestry. It's this thing. Patty's like, oh my God, you were like nuts. I see the look on her face of like just sheer horror. So here's the back of it. So this will show you more or less how much I've actually done.
Oh.
But yeah, no, it's a needlepoint tapestry.
And might I say that the back looks very neat, which is a sign of someone who takes care of what they're doing and isn't just willy-nilly all over the place. Like when you start cross-stitching as a child, it's all over the place.
So I will show y'all the back of my needlepoint so y'all can see it and y'all can approve or deny my needlepoint
to me.
And tell me how it looks.
Well, for a person who knows nothing, it looks great.
So this is how I spend some of my free time. In case y'all are wondering, like, how does Haley spend her free time? That is it. And I will sit here and I will pull it up and I will just play with it for hours and hours on end because needlepoint is very, very time consuming. I do about 1 square inch an hour. And this sucker is 18 by 22. 18 inches by 22 inches. So 18 times 22 is a very large number.
Yeah.
It's about 400 square inches. So y'all can do the math to figure out roughly how many hours this sucker is going to take me to do. So like almost 400 hours. And Patty is just like, oh my God. I see the oh my God look on your face.
And that's why I am not in the business of selling my cross stitches, because they take a lot of time.
No,
I
I get
enjoy
to
them.
see
They're
Haley's hobbies, so it's cool.
Do what?
I get to see one of your hobbies, I guess.
Yeah, you do get to see one of my hobbies. And I mean, I can sit here and do it all night. I mean, I can sit here and chat with y'all and do needlepoint. Yeah, no, Haley actually does have hobbies, like needlepoint and gardening and other things. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know gardening was fun.
Yeah. I love me some plants. And usually plants kind of like me too. And I have, pets galore. And incidentally, I've been cleared to get another fuzzy wuzzy in the house as long as it's not another cat. So the question is, what kind of fuzzy wuzzy should I get? Or what kind of critters should I get? That is the question.
Are you focused on a mammal?
It does not have to be mammalian. I am allowed to get another critter.
See, my first thought was a parrot, because you can teach a parrot to whistle, and that could be very beneficial to your YouTube channel and all the times that you go live here and when.
So what am I going to do with this parrot?
You're going to teach it to be your sidekick, like Jazzy's my sidekick.
I have a dog like sitting right next to me, right? And I have a turtle right there. And
I didn't hear you say parrot.
I do not currently have a parrot, but see, here's the thing with birds. They really need to be socialized. When we lived in Venezuela, we had a parrot. And they live a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And every day at 4 p.m., that thing would start screaming. It would start screaming my father's name, Claude, over and over again at 4 p.m. until my dad came home from work. Help me, Claude, help me. And then we moved away from Venezuela and moved to Brazil, and we couldn't take the parrot with us.
Oh.
So the parrot went to another family. And reportedly, like 20 years later, we keep hearing stories that the parrot at 4 p.m. every day hollers, Claude, help me.
They are very intelligent.
Yes, they are. Patty is like looking on in like all kinds of horror right now.
In a past,
the look on her face like says everything.
In a past career path of my husband, he managed a pet store.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have it anymore, but it was in good standing when he was the manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I would visit after work every day. Mm-hmm. And they had some of the larger birds there for sale, and they got attached.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a thing to stand in the middle of a pet store with your arms stretched out and a sweater on and have a cockatoo run from one wrist to the other, and when it gets here, hang upside down from your sweater and swing.
Mm-hmm.
That was Peaches. Peaches was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And they have another one. It was an African gray. The cockatoo was a Goffin cockatoo. And since then, like back when he was still running the store, the person that bought Peaches came in and said Peaches scared her one day. And she was walking into the room where the cage was, but Peaches wasn't in her cage. She was allowed, at certain times she would be out and able to roam in the room and things. they're like a 2-year-old, a Goffin cockatoo.
Mm-hmm.
So she's walking into this room, and from above her head, he just swings down from the door frame and goes, ah, right in her face. And of course, the thing about that is it would happen again because she got a reaction. They're
Of
really
course.
like a 2-year-old.
I got a reaction, so I'm going to keep doing that every single day that I get a chance to do that again. Yes.
Yeah, so that was Peaches. And Lexi was an African Grey, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where when Roy was walking through the store one day, he heard Roy line 1, Roy line 1. But he knew something was off. It didn't sound like it was coming from the overhead speaker. And then he looks over and he says, you didn't. And the African Grey looks at him and goes, ha, 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 ha. She was telling him to pick up the phone. She had heard it so many times. It was just funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How long did the birds tend to stay in the store?
He had a good record of moving them within 1 to 2 years. They would find someone who was serious enough, because they did have a hefty price tag too.
Mm-hmm.
It was a serious investment to purchase one, and they did interview the people who were going to buy them to make sure they knew everything.
Yeah. Understand what the heck you're getting into.
Yeah. But I mean, these birds would actually, if they were not in the cage with the door closed and they knew I was in the store, they had their wings clipped so they couldn't fly through the store very well, but they would climb down their cages, go onto the floor, and be at my feet. Because they liked it when I visited, because I would spend time with them. I didn't have to work there. So when I visited, I would actually pay attention to the larger birds and spend time with them.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a step up from the budgie I had as a kid. And if Roy was around, I'd be okay trying to, if we ever wanted to rescue a parrot. Not that he'd agree to it very easily, but it's something, I've had in the back of my mind. If it ever something that came up and, we were in a position to do it, I would want his help, because he's very experienced with animals too. It's kind of funny that Jazzy took so well to me, because normally all the animals take really well to him. So I don't know what's different about her, but she seems to like me.
Yeah, that's like I have JoJo sitting in my office right now. Normally the dogs take pretty exclusively to my husband.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not that she doesn't spend time with him at all. When I'm sleeping in the mornings, she's under his desk in his office, and there's a space between the back of the desk and the wall, and the paws come up and try to swipe things off his desk when he's working.
Yep, no, I believe you. They do all kinds of things. Mine get up behind me and get into all kinds of crazy trouble on my desk.
Well, the latest thing, since we've moved the couch out here that we have out here now, it's close to the back of the chair. So she will do full length of the couch, hit the chair, hit my shoulder, hit the desk, and I'll be like, what just happened? Because she's not a light.
No, she is not a
shredded
small
cat. No, she's solid.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's thunk. As she goes by. And I do get a kick out of her, because I describe her like, if she was a dog, she'd be a Jack Russell with the tail of a Labrador Retriever. She's got that tail, man.
Yeah, now I
she
get
says
it.
Swing it, she could break things.
Yeah, this one too. I'm not sure whether the dog is wagging the tail or the tail is wagging the dog.
Well, we've noticed anytime we look at Jazzy and we talk to her, the tail starts. Every time we talk to her.
Yep, they know. I know.
Yep.
I remember growing up in Brazil or in Venezuela, and we would go on vacation up to Angel Falls and stay at a place called Jungle Rudy's there. And there were wild macaws that would fly in through the window, and they would go touring down the middle of the breakfast table, picking and choosing whatever they would like to have for breakfast. And needless to say, you don't argue with a full-grown macaw when it's decided it's going to take something off of your plate. You just let them have it. And of course, much to everybody's delight, there was a macaw on their breakfast plate, arguing with them about breakfast. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool childhood. One of my fondest memories, really. Getting to go up that way.
There was another yellow-capped Amazon, I think it was. And it went for a walk. It decided it wanted to go get the rawhides and get a rawhide to chew on.
Mm-hmm.
So that fellow, his name was Captain, and climbed down his cage, and he headed that way. And Roy and I kind of cornered him because I happened to be there at the time. And when you approach a bird, they were trained in the store anyway. You'd put your arm in front of like their chest area for their legs, and you'd say, "Step up," to get them to step up on your arm.
Mm-hmm.
So he got down on the ground and told Captain, "Step up." And he says, "Out of my way." It was so funny. Some of the things that they would say that would make sense, and you'd sit there and go, how smart are they?
Pretty darn smart.
Yeah.
Pretty darn smart.
It was really
a ton of fun.
an experience to handle them, because people, I know there are people that aren't comfortable around birds because they're a little unpredictable.
Most animals can be.
I can say that having a freckle on your neck is not a good thing around a Goffin cockatoo. She tried to take it off, and it's like, ow, stop that. Only did the once, but they don't understand, and it's just her nature is curiosity, right? So
yeah,
but
totally.
I mean, having them interact in the store, the different big birds together, it was a lot of fun when we'd be in there, and they'd just all be hanging out, but they'd all want their turn for me to walk around with them. And Lexi just liked that I'd walk around the store with her on my shoulder, and she, back and forth a little bit. And she went to a family, and we were taking one of our cats to the vet one time, and we saw her family there, and they were checking her out. They were moving away to a different province, but they had her into the vet, and she knew, like, when you take a parrot to the vet, you put them in a carrier, just like a cat or a dog, so they don't, go into the creepy home. Same as a cat or dog, so they don't escape. And
oh, you mean like my brother lost my cat while I was on my honeymoon? Yes.
oh,
Got
that's
it.
not funny.
Oh.
No good. But yeah, Lexi knew. I think it was just Roy there at that time, and Lexi reacted and recognized Roy. They have a good memory.
Totally. They really do. It's interesting how they get to know people and they remember people. All the critters do. Yep. This has been fun, guys. It is almost 11, though. So I'm going to call it a night.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go crash and burn because this week has been a year.
That's putting it mildly. Maybe a decade.
Yeah, maybe a decade. This week has definitely been.
It's early for you.
Something
really?
otherworldly.
11's very early for you.
Okay, I'm probably going to go sit here and do needlepoint and watch YouTube videos. And try to figure out how to get more views on my hours on my YouTube channel. If you really want to know the real truth. But I'm going to call it a night. And we will see you guys soon. Take care, everybody. And we will see y'all next Friday to hang out. Come hang out with us. Bye-bye.
Cheers.